What is this thing my grandma found while cleaning her house? Around 6 centimeters tall, 18 centimeters wide, and 6 centimeters deep. It has a handle at the back, and aside from the numbers on the front, there are no other writings I can find. My first thought was pencils or paintbrushes where the number specified the size or type, but I'm not sure. Any idea what it may be? It's a Victorian pewter cigar holder from circa 1885. As far as the numbers assigned to certain cigars, there seems to be a correlation among certain sizes which most likely originated in Cuba. Number 2 is often a pyramid, roughly 6.5 inches by 52. Number 4 is generally a corona, 5.5 inches by 44. Another observation I made in the book was that a number 3, in most cases, seems to be a petite corona, usually around 4.5 inches by 38. I'm sure that additional research would find more conclusive evidence as to how the number system was originally devised. But it seems that, like the names assigned to various front marks, the numbers are also assigned at the discretion of the manufacturer. What is this parrot-shaped metal object with a screw on the back, painted, and around 3 inches tall? It was bought at an auction in a miscellaneous lot that included vintage apothecary drawer pulls, so I'm thinking these are some sort of hardware such as a handle or knob. But I'd love any other ideas in case these other items are influencing my opinion of what this could be. Have any of you seen this before? It's a cast iron parrot curtain hold tie back, made by the Hubley Manufacturing Company in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in the early 20th century. Here's a pair on eBay sold for $396 US. What is this thing? It was in the crafts section at a thrift store. I worked at a thrift shop for a few years, but I haven't seen anything like this. Have any of you seen such a thing? It's a Grip-A-Tab hand tape dispenser. It was patented on January 15, 1957, by Alfred P. Kruger of Southbury, Connecticut for Derby Sealers Incorporated. I used these exact filament tape dispensers daily in a shipping department for over 7 years, except mine is made by Scotch. I picked this up at an antique show last weekend, and I'm not sure what it was used for. It's sterling silver, made in London, and it has the 1814 date letter. I thought it was an adjustable measuring spoon, but I couldn't see any portioning scale. Any ideas? It's a silver-plated Stilton cheese scoop with an ejector, made by William Ely and William Fern between 1814 and 1824. It has a steel mechanism between the silver handle and the movable ejector. Simply push the lever forward once you have loaded Stilton onto the scoop, and it will eject it onto your plate. I'm from the USA and was recently given this photo and frame that I think was from the Civil War era. It almost looks like it was printed on glass. What is the photo printed on? Is that a Union infantry captain from the Civil War? Is there any way to identify who is in the photo? The frame around it is really bendable gold-like foil. Is that normal? Thanks for any help in advance. It appears to be a Union Civil War wet plate from the third quarter of the 19th century, and a pretty fantastic one at that. The wet plate collodion process was a manner of taking photographs that used panes of glass, coated with a chemical solution as the negative. It was the method of photography in use at the time of the Civil War, and it was a fairly complicated procedure. The wet plate method was invented by Frederick Scott Archer, an amateur photographer in Britain, in 1851. Yours seems to have been colored in a bit, which was less common but did happen. The uniform does seem to be that of a second lieutenant in the Union Army. Please take care of it if you don't plan to sell it. They can be quite valuable, especially ones like this where the image is very clear and the posing is very good. Identifying who is in the photo, unless they were a significant person, will be virtually impossible. They are fragile as heck, and ones like this can be difficult to find. It's a fantastic photograph and a piece of American history. My grandma bought it from her neighbor at a garage sale for $5. She gave it to me and said she was not 100% sure what it was. I came here wondering if it's worth anything and how it works. The underside is rusty. I guess it needs WD-40 or something to loosen the buttons. Can anyone tell me anything about this item? It's a money changer for bank tellers. They're equivalent of a cash drawer to make change for customers, and the coin tray on the top held reloads for the stacks. It was patented on February 25, 1890 by William H. Statz of Chicago, Illinois. I restore antiques and have done many of these and own a few. It's a later model, but an original in pretty good shape. It may have been restored at one point and missing a part or two. This one on eBay is sold for $2,500 US. I bought these at Goodwill today, and I'm now wondering how to determine provenance, if any. My cursory Googling has been a mixed bag, and I appreciate any input y'all may have. Thanks in advance. They are Chinese ceramic pillows. These were largely produced in the Song Dynasty between 960 to 1276. Perhaps they were used to encourage a better sleeping position for the body, or to maintain the highly complex hairstyles worn by women during the Ming Dynasty. During the Ming and Qing dynasties, porcelain pillows started to fade from view as softer pillows became more popular. Although porcelain pillows were still being produced in North China during the 1950s and 1960s, they have disappeared from people's daily lives in recent decades. Can you recognize this World War II era warplane part? The grandfather of my friend has passed away here in Hungary. When they were cleaning out his attic, they found this object. It is said to be a part of a downed airplane. The last, and I think the only time when a Western plane could have been shot down over Hungary was in the Second World War. I think the young grandpa was looting the airplane and kept this part. He probably hid it well, because keeping a thing like that would get you in a really big trouble, even way after the war. The texts on the objects indicate that it is a Western-made plane, but I think that Soviet aircraft might had Western parts. I'm really curious about what kind of airplane had this part. Thanks for the help. It's a turret transmission, which was used on the Sperry Ball turret. There were two in each turret, one for azimuth and one for elevation. Those turrets were mounted in the B-17 and B-24, and both of them flew missions over Hungary. These were pretty cool as they are very sensitive, and you can control them easily from 0 to full speed. When the turrets were scrapped, often these units were saved and used for other projects. These were patented on March 24, 1942 by Harry F. Vickers and Kenneth R. Herman of Detroit, Michigan, for the Vickers Incorporated. What is this mystery tool I found at an estate sale? It's a pair of pliers with a brush on one of the handles and no writings of any kind. Around 18 centimeters long, or just over 7 inches. I tried Google searches with no luck. Any ideas? Please let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.